Hey, Stephen, thank you for coming in today. And again, you're just doing just outstanding work within YPO, with Million Peacemakers, and with the Aegis Trust in terms of, putting together a million peacemakers and throughout the world, and you're leveraging technology to do it. So thank you for coming in and sharing your insights with my audience.
Honored to be with you as always, Stephen, and thanks for all you do for YPO, for Million Peacemakers, and for the world.
So, Stephen, can you maybe give us some updates of what's happened in terms of your project with Aegis Trust and the Rwanda Memorial related work, and then how you're leveraging technology and so on as well?
Sure. So since we last spoke, I was in Rwanda for the Global Impact Summit for YPO, which I co-chaired with Emery Rotabenga from Rwanda. And 2 days before the summit started, we met with the government of Rwanda and we signed an MOU with them to be part of our global partnership for peace and humanity, which includes the Million Peacemakers, Aegis Trust, the YPO Peace Action Network, the next generation of YPO, which is called YNG, and now we're building more partners for that. So that was very exciting to have the power of the government behind us. And now I'm going to be going back there actually in 3 weeks to do workshops at the memorial for the youth from across Rwanda. We're bringing youth leaders from across Rwanda every day, up to 1,000 youth who are going to be trained in conflict. And by the way, before the summit started as well, I met with the educators at Aegis and I took their workshop, which is amazing for genocide prevention and post-genocide, which is huge trauma. It's a longer workshop. It could take up to 2 weeks. And then I gave them our conflict workshop, which, as you know, could be done in 3 hours. And they really appreciated that. But I also really wanted to take the wisdom of Aegis's training on the power of forgiveness and how that could be incorporated into conflict. Is we put that into our step 3, where step 1 is to understand yourself and your partner. Step 2 is to understand our shared reality. Step 3 is to co-create our ideal reality. And sometimes one of the obstacles to our ideal reality is seeking forgiveness of ourselves and others, and receiving forgiveness. So now that is part of the conflict way process where appropriate. So it was great to learn from their wisdom, and we'll be, as I mentioned, training the youth from across Rwanda in the conflict way with the wisdom of Aegis and of Rwanda and the amazing story they've had. As you know, it's the 30th anniversary right now of the genocide where 1 million Tutsis were killed in 100 days. And our goal is, if 1 million people, and our dream, if 1 million people could be killed in 100 days, could we not train 1 million peacemakers during this time and during this year, the anniversary year, which is what we're doing. And we'll achieve that just in Rwanda, it looks like, because then on Umaganda Day, I believe it is, excuse me if I got that wrong, to our friends in Rwanda, which is the day of service on the last Saturday of each month. This will be the Peace Day, National Peace Day. And the youth that are trained in conflict are going to then take it to their communities to train their entire communities. So it's going to be an incredible time, which I'm very happy to be in Rwanda during as well. It'll be the Africa CEO Summit going on there, and I'll be interviewed on the stage as well with YPO. YPO will be nicely represented. The impact portion of YPO will be what we'll be talking about, with Isaac Pretorius, who's the chair of YPO for Africa. That's a bit of what's going on. In addition, we have collaborations for our global partnership. We're working with an organization called Morse Life, who do the training of all the high school students across Florida and their teachers. They do Holocaust training, which is mandated in Florida, and we're adding conflict to it. We're working with an organization called WorkBay that has 500,000 tablets in the hands of previously and currently incarcerated young people, often females, to teach them conflict so that they'll have greater skills when they go back into the workforce. and workers or employers who might be reticent of hiring someone with a record will be less reticent when they see someone is trained as a peacemaker and have great skills to resolve conflicts constructively, which they will have. And we're working together actually with them because they have a lot of experience in creating content. We'll be doing it in comic book form and video form, which will be really accessible for the students from across around the world. And then I had actually a meeting 2 nights ago with a museum in Sydney, Australia, which bring a lot of youth, and they loved that idea. So we're going to be using some of the content. So it's all everyone collaborating together to really come up with great results. They'll be using some of the content from Workday as well to train youth across Australia as well in peacemaking. These are just some of the news stories that are coming up the top of my head right now.
Did you just get a mention in the Senate as well? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Small thing, but no, it was very exciting. Tony LaFretta, the senator, the Honorable Tony LaFretta, um, who was for many years, I think over 30 years, head of uh, senior member of the Royal Bank of Canada. He was the executive vice chairman of private wealth for RBC, or wealth management for RBC, uh, when he retired to go into the Senate as an independent. And he mentioned Million Peacemakers and Nonflict as well from the floor of the Senate. I think he gave a 3-minute talk on the value of Nonflict and the value and the work we're doing with Million Peacemakers. That was last week.
Now you got Australian youth now engaged. Why not Canada?
Oh, we're working on Canada as well, of course. We our prior youth chair, global youth chair, Theodore Sauvé from who's a law student at McGill. We were teaching at McGill throughout various faculties, from social work to law to business, and we are spreading that at other universities and with youth across Canada as well. And then, of course, we are both Canadian, and that's important to us.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking Commonwealth countries. If you can get all the Commonwealth countries and even the government education programs, is that a possibility or target?
the well, we weren't thinking Commonwealth per se. We're very big in Latin America. We're very big in Africa. One of our current youth leaders is Frida, who is from Kenya, who has a lot of experience in Africa youth leadership. Our other co-chair, Alexandra from Barcelona and Sweden, is has a lot of connections in Europe, and YNG being across the world. We've done workshops from New York, and we have requests in Toronto, Boston, really worldwide with the youth, who are then bringing it to their contingents or their constituents. But I'll think about that. Thanks for the idea. Commonwealth countries, with Canada as one of them, certainly would be a great idea. So let's talk about that after, Stephen.
Yeah, and perhaps the Ministry of Education in the different provinces or different states around the world as well. I'm just thinking that maybe that's a route. But you're also integrated, and you were an early integrator of technology from Alexa, and now you've got a GPT technology. Can you describe that?
Sure. Well, thank you. By the way, that's how we met back in Horaces in Portugal a few years back, when I patiently waited for the long lineup of people wanting to talk to you, and you gave me my turn, in such a wonderful way. And I asked you if we could scale perhaps Nonflict using AI and Alexa, which was relatively new at that time. And you said yes. And you then introduced me to an Alexa engineer, Dave Russell, who coded it for on his nights and weekends for about a year and a half. And now it is on Alexa and personalized as a coach. And now with GPT, that could bring it to a whole other level. And we do have a Peace GPT as our gift to the world for free, as is Alexa. So if you do a search on GPTs on OpenAI, if you have the app, as many of us do, it's the paid for app right now that allows you to have the other GPTs. There is a Peace GPT where you could use the wisdom of Nonflict to any conflict that you're having. Just ask it questions based on your own personal conflict. It'll use the best of Nonflict and whatever else is out there in its knowledge base, which is huge to help you go through your conflict.
Yeah, and in fact, the GPT technology now will even vocalize. You can actually talk to it on your phone; it'll talk back, right?
It does, yes. You have a conversation with it. It's very nice, and we're actually looking at other technology based on that, which will also take it to another level. So we're really exploring technology to scale. It's out there, and really that's how we're not only looking for 1 million peacemakers, we need 230 million to be an unstoppable force for peace in the world, which is 3.5% of the population, based on a study done by Harvard's Dr. Erica Chenoweth, where 3% of a population would be an unstoppable force for peace. So really, that's our ultimate goal. It's 1 million this year, but we're targeting 250 million over time.
So, Steve, and we're doing this live in essence, and it's unscripted, but I got a bunch of keynotes coming up. So I'm going to take a minute segment of our interview here, and I'm going to plug it into my keynote, a point to the full interview. Can you summarize in under a minute the penetration you're getting, tie into the Rwanda program as well, but the different areas around the world where you're getting engagement? Tie in the fact that you're going to get 1 million peacemakers. You're using integrated technology with Peace GPT, for example, and you're targeting 230 million because it's the 3.5%, which is what you need for systemic change. I'm wondering if you can get that encapsulated in under a minute.
Well, if I had time advance notes to do that, I would ask Peace GPT to do that for me
Yeah,
to
that's
give
true.
me
It
a
would, right?
script. But if this is right off the top of our head, I'll do my best, Stephen. So, a second to think. So, it's really an honor, Stephen, to work with you and our other members of our board and Aegis Trust, the government of Rwanda, the Peace Action Network of YPO, the youth of YPO, and many other collaborators from Morse Life to Workbay. We're working with Junior Achievement and other organizations to train 1 million youth as peacemakers this year, who are going to influence, at the end of the day, millions of others when they bring it to their homes, their families, their communities, their schools. Our goal ultimately is 250 million youth from around the world who are going to be an unstoppable force for peace in the world. So we're not stopping at 1 million. We're just getting started. We are going to be over 1 million, well over 1 million this year alone. And it is so exciting to be part of this initiative to bring much needed peace in the world. There is so much division, so much polarization, so much destructive conflict. We need to change the narrative. We need to just give people the tools because most people do want to live in peace. We are going to give them the tools the non-conflict way with the wisdom of Aegis Trust that they've done through the teachings and the wisdom of the work they've done in Rwanda. And we're going to empower people to bring peace to their lives, their families, their communities, and the world.
And leveraging technology.
And of course, leveraging technology to scale. PeaceGPT is already out there now. It's trained in conflict. We are absolutely going to use the best of technology out there as it's growing, as it's evolving, to scale even further, to drive greater impact.
Well, Stephen, in fact, that's a great recommendation. So normally my last question is, what is the recommendation to the audience? Well, you've given us a great summary that I can plug into my keynotes and AMAs or Ask Me Anything. And we had a wonderful exchange today in this interview. And thank you for coming in and sharing your insights with our audience.
Honored to be with you as always, Stephen. Thank you for all you do. And your audience, feel free to reach out anytime. We offer free workshops every month on millionpeacemakers.org. You could register for a 2-hour intro to conflict workshop at your convenience.
And you're a registered nonprofit both in the US and in Canada.
Yes. Yeah, we are a charity. We have 501c3 status in the US, charity status in Canada. We have the ability to give tax receipts in Australia, the UK as well.
That's amazing. And your vision that you've had a few years ago is now scaling globally, and just amazing work. Thank you again.
Thank you, Stephen. It's an honor to be with you today and your audience.
Thank you for listening to the brand called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the brand called You.